Hey everybody, happy Memorial Weekend. I've been wanting to do this video for a long time, but I just haven't had time or an opportunity to do it. But I want to talk about the single treadle pedal versus the dual hydrostat pedals, and which one's better, which one is the pros and cons to them. And at the end of this video, you will I'll tell you which one you need to get. So I've had both, so I feel like I have a good feel for which one I like the best. And there's pros and cons to both. So I do not have any editing software. I know it's available. I just haven't had a chance to do it. I don't feel like doing it. I'm lazy, I guess. So you're gonna have to use your imagination. I wish I could superimpose some pictures of a single treadle pedal versus a dual pedal, but you'll have to use your imagination. And since you're watching this, I'm sure you already know what they are, but if not, anyway. So the single pedal is normally right here. And I had a New Holland, and the New Holland, the previous tractor I had the single pedal, which was right here. Forward you push down, reverse heel. I like to use my toe to do it. So some of the pros and cons of that is the single pedal. A lot of people complained about there's not enough floor space for your feet, and I had never really had an issue with it, but I do see what they're saying, because there's a pedal right here and you couldn't put your foot down. I normally just rested my foot on that pedal. And the dual pedal, you have a little more room. I do have notes, because the minute the camera cuts on, I forget my train of thought and have no clue what I wanted to say, so I have to look down at it, so bear with me. And some of the things I noticed that for finite or small movements, I find the treadle pedal works better. Like when I'm backing up and I'm trying to hook up to an implement, and I'm trying to get, even though I have extending, my mind went blank, but extending linkage, I like to get get it exactly where I want it. And I find when I'm going backwards and forward and trying to line it up, that the single pedal, I seem to could get it just where I want it and hit the brake and stop it. Whereas the pedals here, you have to pick your feet up and move them to the next one. And I have made mistakes where I was trying to get it just where I want. I live on hills and things aren't level, and about the time I get it where I want, the tractor would roll. And if you are looking, and if I have made the mistake of trying to hit the brake pedal and miss and hit the forward pedal and have to start all over again. So I find that the single pedal seems to work better with that, because your foot's on the reverse and the forward, and it just, you don't make as many mistakes on that. I find the treadle pedal, the single pedal, is slightly faster at maneuvering forward and reverse than the dual pedal. And the reason being is your foot's on that single pedal. Marianne, if you don't mind showing, your foot's never off of that single pedal the whole time. So if you're going forward and you want to go to reverse, you just immediately push down. Whereas this, you're going forward, you have to take your foot off and go to reverse. I find, it's a quarter of a second longer. But I have missed this pedal before doing this, and you're doing something, you're backing up, you're not looking, and you miss it. This, your foot's on it all the time, so you're never really gonna miss it. And the hydrostatic pedals, sometimes especially when it's cold, they'll stick a little bit. So you may be going forward, and this pedal doesn't come back like it should. I've had, it's working fine now because it's warm, but when it's cold, and both pedals stick. On the single pedal, I find that if it is sticking, you really don't notice it, because immediately your foot's on that pedal. If it doesn't stop, you're just pushing back down on it. With this, if this were to not come back, you don't know until you've lifted your foot off and it doesn't stop, and you got to reach over and grab that pedal. So in some ways, the single treadle pedal is a little safer. I think if your hydrostatic pedals are sticking a little bit, and they all stick a little when it's cold. Let's see. Another thing I noticed that on the single pedals, I have a lot of trees, and I'm mowing underneath those trees a lot, and brush and debris is falling on me sometimes. It's really right. I have the ropes down because I'm going under low trees, and this stuff accumulates on your deck, your foot deck. And I have had issues where debris and things like this would get stuck underneath the pedal. So when you're trying to go, say you're going forward and all of a sudden you need to stop, you can't go reverse because these debris has stuck under that pedal. You don't have the issue with these dual pedals. There's more room there, and it's normally not. So I have had that issue. So I would say that is an issue you need to watch. It doesn't happen that often, but I have had issues with that. Let's see. A couple other things I wanted to mention. Now my wife, who's filming this, she prefers the single pedal. She finds it just makes her nervous with all the different pedals on this side. With a single pedal, she sees a brake and she sees one pedal. Here she has 3 pedals, and it makes her nervous. Another thing I've noticed, and I watched one video from Neil from Messick's where he talked about the 2 different types of pedals. He doesn't go into a lot of pros and cons, but he does mention that they are opposite of what you would think. Normally when you drive a vehicle, your forward gas pedal's on the right and then your brake is on the left. Well, your brake is still on the left, however your forward is in the middle. So you're going forward and then reverse. That is a little opposite. I know you wouldn't think that'd be very confusing, but it does mess with you if you haven't done it for a long time. Now, the more I've been on this tractor, I've gotten used to it, and after a couple months, I'm very comfortable going forward and reverse. But I did make some mistakes in the beginning where I thought I was going forward, and it turns out I was mashing the reverse and vice versa. And that can be a little dangerous, especially if you're on near ditches and things like that. So I had to really think and sometimes stop and look before I mashed the pedal, because it really, it gets to become subconscious the more you use it. And the single pedal I had driven for 15 plus years, and that was just second nature. I've had this tractor for a little over 2 years, and it's becoming second nature now. So anyway, my wife, she prefers a single pedal. It's just more comfortable for her. Both are comfortable for me. I don't really have a preference, I don't guess. Most of the tractors I looked at when I was looking at this 2 years ago seemed like most of them are going to the dual pedal, and I'm not really sure why. Don't know the reason. Is it cheaper? Maybe it's cheaper to go with dual pedal versus single. Is it an engineering issue where the engineering is simpler with the dual versus the single? Or is it just customer research and that the customers seem to prefer the dual? I've read both. I've had people talk about. So at the end of the day, if you're buying a tractor and you cannot decide, do not let the pedals be your deciding factor, whether it's dual or single. If everything is equal and you prefer one or the other, then by all means get the one you prefer. But if you're not familiar with either one of them or not used to either one of them and you can't decide, don't let a video or somebody's comments tell you which to go for. Just get the tractor you like. You'll get comfortable with either pedal. So anyway, I'm not sure I mentioned all the points I wanted to. I hope I did, but I'm happy with both. I liked the other. I drove it for so many years. I'm learning to like this as well. Very comfortable with it. There's really not a lot of pros and cons. I kind of mentioned a few little things, some safety issues, and if I bought another tractor tomorrow and it was a single pedal, I'd be just as happy. So anyway, thank you and have a good weekend. Bye.